All right, we want to welcome back. Now I would say our good friend, Mr. Dustin Sanchez. This time coming and representing for JP Enterprises. Dustin, welcome back to Whiskey and Windage, brother.
Hey man, thanks for having me back. And I guess a couple of beers at Shot Show, we moved into good friends. I like it. I like it.
Hey, man, we were if we're talking about beers at Shot, we were good friends at the last
Yeah.
one.
Honestly, if you were willing to show up a second time, we must be off at least on the right foot.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it. And when you guys reached out to me, which is taking a little while to get this one, but when you guys reached out to me, I was like, man, I love being on here last time. Let's jump on there again. Let's have a good time.
Yeah. Well, and we were when we first talked, it kinda dated a little bit, but you were like, "Man, give me a couple weeks because 'cause I'm about to go to Worlds." And that was Czech Republic Worlds, last year. So or
Yeah,
this year,
well, it
it
was
was
this
this
year.
year.
This year. Yeah,
Yeah, so you had lots of stuff, so we got lots to talk about.
we do.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, but let's go ahead and get into it, and just like we warned you on the front end, we're gonna talk about, the Ask AI segment, and this week's Ask AI is brought to us by Tipton.
Your workspace matters, and the Tipton Best Gun Vise 360 doesn't play around. Built for serious shooters, this vise locks down rifles, shotguns, and ARs with zero movement and full control. Tool-free adjustments, rock-solid clamping, and a 360-degree rotating cradle give you access from every angle. No shortcuts, no compromises. Whether you're building, cleaning, or dialing in, this vise was made to keep up. Tipton Best Gun Vise 360. Built to hold, built to work.
And I asked, who is Dustin Sanchez of JP Enterprises? So AI says he grew up in Central Texas where he developed a love for firearms through family time in the woods and at his range. His introduction into competitive shooting came in 2012 when he started doing 3-gun matches. Since then, he has competed in multiple disciplines, including USPSA, Steel Challenge, Tactical Shotgun, and more. But lately, he is focusing especially on long range shooting, field matches, and sniper style competitions. He serves in multiple capacities as a shooter, educator, stage designer, match director, and content director. He's involved not just in competing, but helping run matches, designing stages, and mentorship. He's active on social media, has podcasts, interviews, videos where he shares tips, gear insights, training methods, and you joined JP in late 2015 as a rifle tech, which deepened your interest for the AR, and then moved into the marketing team, teaching, building rifles, representing the brand in matches around the US.
Yeah, it's close. Yeah.
He said it's close. So
Yeah, pretty good.
if you could change anything, what would you change on that?
Um, I don't know if there's anything I'd really change. It's I think a lot of times, a lot of my just growing up hunting and running around the woods with my friends and that, it doesn't, I don't think gets highlighted that much. And there's a lot of people like, oh, you hunt. And I'm like, well, that's how, grew up in Central Texas.
That's
That's,
how
that's
all this
all we did.
started.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, my first semi-auto was shooting an SKS, right? Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't an AR or anything like that. So
Hilarious.
yeah, yeah.
Dude, that is awesome, man. That is awesome. So you kind of, like it said, was it pretty accurate when you took off and you started as a rifle tech at JP? Is that right?
I did. Yeah. Yeah. I got a call. Funny story. Not a whole lot of people know this. I've done wrenches from like I was 13 till I was 29, and I was burned out by then. And I was like, well, what do I want to do? And I was doing some MMA with a good friend. And we were always beat up as a rifle tech. I was always beat, or cat working for Caterpillar and stuff like that. I was always beat up. So I was like, I'm gonna become a massage therapist because nobody could ever work on me that actually felt good. And went to school for that, opened up a business. So I met my wife, who's a massage therapist as well. And everybody asked me, like, if there was one thing you could do that like you would shut your business down and leave, they're like, what would it be? And I was like, a phone call from JP Rifles. And man, it was like a year later, I got a phone call. Hey, are you interested in coming over here to work? And I was like, well, I'm not going to turn down the interview, but I'll at least go talk to him. Went
Yeah.
over there, talked to him, and it took me a week to decide because it was going to be a pay cut. I was actually going to have to drive 45 minutes one direction and didn't really like we always say we know what's going on with guns, but then when you get to be put in that position to work with a high end manufacturer, you start doubting yourself. And there was a lot of doubt, right? Like, do I have blonde hair? Can I fit in? You know, am I embarrass myself? And ultimately, it was just one of my friends was like, hey, you already have your business. It's successful. Just kind of go part time with that. Go over to JP, give it 3 months. If you don't like it, well, at least you'll learn something. You can come back to your business and you have a story to tell. And been at JP ever since. You know, I did leave in 2020 as I stayed as a contractor, but I left full time, and that's how I went over to Real Lab and started working there. But yeah, everything I owe my entire career in firearms to Brian Payne, who is kind of like a godfather of 3-gun, and then JP rifles.
Dude, that's awesome.
Awesome.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
been
Man, so
quite the journey.
you got those magic hands.
I used to. I claim now I don't, but that's just because my wife be like, work here, work there, you know, and I'm like,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
you work here and you work there. Yeah, yeah.
So we touched on it a little bit, but how did your shoot at Worlds go?
Well, I didn't shoot as I expected. My shooting was a little slow, not as accurate as I had, you know, all the time and effort I put into it. But the results were what I expected. And I've told this to people, and they're like, that doesn't make sense. And it's like, well, people ask me if I would, you know, where I thought I would end up. And I said, look, I think I'll end up in the top 50%, but around 50%. There's so many guys that have been shooting PCC for 4 years, 5 years, preparing for Worlds because it kept getting pushed back because of COVID. And I was late to the game. I said, so there's a lot of just world class shooters out there. So I think, you know, I want to finish, and I think I'll finish in the top 50. But as much time and effort as I put into it, I did expect to do better than what I did, and it wasn't in the cards for me. That ended up being a grind. I did shoot the pre-match with the ROs because I needed to work the JP booth, and it was 30 stages in 3 days,
Oof.
and it was a grind. And I was just, you know, shooting IPSC, going from IPSC to USPSA. There's a little bit of difference in the shooting style, but the biggest difference I saw there was walkthroughs. You get, you know, about 3 minutes, and the Europeans, they understand this. They're very aggressive, and they jump in front of you to run their stages. And here in the United States, we sit back, we let the guy in front of us go, and then we go. And you know, it just it
Got
caught
taken
me off
advantage
guard.
of a little bit there, huh?
I did. You know, look, we, we can let them have it because all the freedoms that we have, you know, I'm like, dude, I came back to a safe full of guns. They can't do that. So I was like,
Yeah.
all right, fine, whatever. You guys jump in front of me.
You beat me at PCC because that's the only gun you're allowed to
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
So
I was like, I got a Barrett, guys. Do you guys
I'll
have
go
that? And
shoot
they're like,
full
no.
power
And I'm like,
ARs
all
at
right,
home.
dude.
Yeah, no, that's cool. But I mean, that's also I respect how you said that because it's I mean that's a
Respect.
competitor in us because if you didn't, I mean, we all kind of know like, hey, the odds of me winning are slim to none. But if you don't think, well, I guess me personally, if I don't think I had a shot to win the whole thing, even like a long shot, it's like the competitor in me, it's like, then I don't want to do it. So like, you know, it's like, yeah, realistically, top 50% is great. I mean, that's something to hang your hat on. But yeah,
Worlds? Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. So it's like, you know, I mean, that's the competitor in you. Like, hey, you're proud of where you finished, but damn it, I wanted to finish better.
Yeah, of course, right. I think the day that I get to a point where I'm like, oh, that's okay. I think it's time to hang it up and move into something else. But you know, like I told everybody else, the experience being in the Czech Republic I mean, I was there for almost 3 weeks was amazing.
I
That's
bet.
a
You know,
lot
I
of
did have
history
some,
there.
yeah, and I did have some down days because they changed this. I was on the flight over to the Czech Republic when they changed our schedule because I was supposed to shoot all 30 stages in 5 days. And then when I got there, they're like, "Oh, you're going to shoot it in really it was 2.5 days." And I was like, okay. So I had some downtime. So I went and visited a couple other countries, spent some extra time in Prague. And I just, you know, for the first time, I was just a tourist. And that doesn't happen very often with work and traveling where I can actually kick back and just be a tourist when I travel. So it was good. I definitely enjoyed it.
That's crazy. I do want to ask you though, just how was the vibe when you were there? I mean, with everything going on, you know, a country or so over,
Yeah.
did any of that leak in? Was there any, could you, I guess if no one talked about it, would you know that there was a conflict, not that far away?
Yeah, Worlds was not that way, right? It was very calm. Some people brought it up, but it was when I was at Iowa, which is in Germany, and that's like a month after SHOT Show.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of the conversations were really had. And I was talking in my booth. There's a German dealer there, and we're talking, and they were like talking to me, and they're like, "Yeah, we're only 17 hours away from the war in Ukraine." And then for me, then it was that's when it actually put it like in perspective, right? Because I live in Minneapolis now. It's 17-hour drive from here to my hometown in Texas. And then they tell me they're 17 hours away from the war in Ukraine. Then at that point, the world really just shut down.
Oh,
Yeah. And you're like, holy cow. Like, could you imagine if we were in a war with Mexico and they were in central Texas right now, where we're at, at least where I'm at in Minnesota. So I just tell everybody, think about a 17-hour drive anywhere from your location. That's where the war is actually going on. And then everybody's like, okay, that's a different story there. It's just perspective,
The
right?
largest war since World War II, like the biggest battlefield in 80 years.
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So that for me put it in perspective. So when I came home, and I was in Europe or Germany for 2 weeks on that trip. And then when I came home, that perspective was a little bit different. But again, I have a lot of friends that live in Europe. I've become friends with a lot of them. The staff or my team that I have with JP, the shooting team, some of those guys are European shooters. And one of my really good friends, he's a 4-time world champion. His name's Raina. I can never pronounce his last name, so I won't even embarrass myself or him with that. But he lives in Finland, and I don't know if you guys know the history between Finland and Russia, but there's definitely no love
Not good.
lost there.
They're not happy neighbors. Really.
No, they are not. And him and we've had some very political debates driving back from a match. And so he was here in last October. It was like 30-minute drive from the range back to our Airbnb, and we're driving. And I got to hear the whole reason why he hates Russia, which some of us already know that, but coming from them, it's a different perspective as well. So he usually messages me. We talk almost every day through WhatsApp, but every now and then, about once a week, I'd say I get a message from him about how pissed off he is at Russia. So it stays fresh on my mind just because I got friends that are over there.
Oh yeah, for sure. We've got some friends over in Norway that are helping, and it's helping with the Ukrainian side, and it's crazy. I mean, the landscape is definitely changing for warfare.
Mhm.
It almost makes me worry about our own military in some cases, just because we don't have, other than what we're monitoring over there, we don't have a whole lot of we're not going to have a whole lot of in theater experience when it comes to electronic warfare with drones and whatnot. And I mean, it's gonna be freaky. I mean, it's almost like we're just gonna line up our drones, they're gonna line up their drones, and we're gonna send them out. And then when none of them are left, then it's like, all right, well, I guess we'll all walk out here now.
It's crazy. Just listening to some of this stuff. When you look at just what they're talking about, like the AI war, what that would actually play out to be, and I'm like, oh, dude, that's just like to me. I'm starting to think like, are we talking about stuff out of Star Wars here? It's
Yeah.
just it's so out there that it's mind-boggling to think how in a couple of years how the whole warfare has actually changed.
It's gonna be crazy too to filter in what's true and what's false now with
Yeah.
AI, because you
Already
could
is.
easily you could yeah, I mean, it already is, but you could easily, if you have the right AI and the right program and all that, you could easily make it like something has happened, stateside, and, something is completely wiped off the face of the earth, and cause a reactionary strike, and that place be completely okay.
Yeah,
Or somebody is no longer with us, or whatever it may be, and it's just like, "Oh gosh."
yeah,
So,
it's crazy. I think about my friends over there. I got some friends in Poland, and you started seeing some stuff going on with Poland and Russia this week, and you're
oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's there.
Poland doesn't take kindly to invaders.
No, no, they don't. And again, we've been blessed because we've got
Yeah.
these, the ocean on both
We're a
sides of
world
us. And
removed, basically.
yeah, keeps us away from them. And I think sometimes people's perspective is a little different because they see what's on the news, but they may not have any friends or anything over there and really understand what it looks like. So
Yeah. And other than Russia, I mean, there's not very many, Russia and China, there's not very many countries that can rival the size of what we have over in Europe. So they're used to having 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 countries bordering their lines. And so we're just like, oh, we got Mexico, and that's what we're worried about because Canada, like, psh,
Yeah.
whatever.
right, yeah,
It's
yeah,
Canada.
yeah,
So, I mean, and and that's kind of that's, some could say that's a bad approach to have, but that's how we all pretty much are. And it's like, well, we don't have to, we've got a little bit of a heads up if something were to happen, there'd be some warning.
yeah, correct,
Geographically,
yeah,
we're pretty safe. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I guess all doom and gloom aside, your Europe trip, your Europe tour went really well.
Yeah, man, it was
Good.
great. The stages were set out really well. It was cool. They ran mini rifle, which was 22 with the scope and PCC, and the way they had those
Sweet.
stages set up was pretty cool because you walk up to a stage and they have these boards about this big that said PCC mini rifle world championship. And I never paid attention to it. I shot the stage and I walked off. Well, then I'd walk to the stage the next day and they'd be shooting mini rifle there. And they just moved those panels and covered up my PCC targets. And there were mini rifle targets there, which completely changed the
Hmm.
entire stage layout. So I thought it was very well ran. I mean, it should be for a world match, but I
Yeah.
thought, seeing that and how they ran those two different divisions was cool. And then, some of us were preparing to have shots out to 100 yards, and our farthest shot with the 9mm was 81 yards, which I'm happy to say I
Wow.
went double alpha on. So yeah, that's
Heck
that's what I
yeah.
said.
Yeah. Hey, we'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah, yeah,
As
yeah,
long as
sure.
you got double alpha on the long shot, like, okay, I'm ready. We'll take that. That's a W.
Yeah, well, you look at it, especially if you look at what AI said, how I've been put so much time into long range, and then I go over there and I can't get double alpha on my long shots. I'd be like, that would have been even more embarrassing.
Yeah, that would have been a kick in the junk for sure.
All right, I think it's about that time. Let's get these rapid fire knocked out for you, Dustin.
That'll be fun.
Today's rapid fire is brought to us by our friends over at Frankfurt Arsenal.
When precision matters, every detail counts. The Frankfurt Arsenal IntelliDropper 2.0 takes accuracy to the next level with advanced sensors, a sleek touchscreen, and effortless calibration. Whether you're fine-tuning or loading in volume, the IntelliDropper 2.0 ensures confidence in every drop. Frankfurt Arsenal, precision starts here.
A lot of these I think I already know the answer to, but we're gonna shoot for them anyway.
All right.
All right, Dustin, AR-15 or PCC?
Oh, AR-15.
Favorite JP rifle right now?
See, that's funny because I'm going to say my JP5, which is my PCC. But yeah, yeah.
Three gun or PRS?
PRS.
First firearm you ever shot?
257 Roberts.
Oh, nice. A connoisseur in the family somewhere.
Yeah, I still got it too.
Awesome. Coffee before a match, yes or no?
Yes. Maybe 2.
Maybe two. What is your go-to caliber? Favorite thing to shoot?
9mm right now.
Favorite optic, just that you've ever used, that you love using?
I am playing with the new Burris XDR-PS.
Ooh,
3 to 18. Absolutely love that glass.
Hell yeah.
nice. Who's the toughest competitor you've ever faced?
Oh, I mean, it's a long list. I mean, at Worlds, I went against Maxley Agrandis, Eric Graffel, Rhina, all world champions. I've Daniel Horner, Max Michelle. I've went against all of them, lost to all of them. So I'd say they're,
He's like, how long's this podcast?
yeah, it's a
How long is
list.
this podcast? One piece of gear you can't live without.
At the range. So yeah, okay.
We'll go with that.
Well, they're different. I think maybe, I don't know.
Okay,
I'll text you guys on that one later.
it's all good.
Big What would you say is your biggest weakness as a shooter
Staying locked in, staying in the zone.
and strongest skill?
Always having a good time when I'm at a match, no matter what's going on.
Yeah. Really fast stages or technical?
Technical.
Favorite match or competition you've ever shot?
Ooh. Team Safari. It's a long range match. Competition Dynamics Team Safari.
Heck yeah. Best piece of advice you've ever gotten from another shooter?
It's so I was told that everybody says that, practice makes perfect, but it's perfect practice makes perfect.
Oh, you mean it's not slow as fast?
Who's your shooting role model?
It's changed over the years, but right now, I'd probably say it has to be a kid by the name of Miggs Valencia. He's 16 years old now. No, 15 years old now.
Do you have any
Phenomenal
weird
shooter.
pre-stage ritual?
I have to change. I have to have new gum in my mouth, and I have to have a drink of water. I feel like I'll be dehydrated in a
In the
20-second
middle of a
stage when it's done. Yeah, yeah,
You're like, gas is gonna be blowing around. I'm gonna need a
yeah,
drink.
yeah.
Super funny. If you weren't shooting, what hobby would you be doing?
Cycling, whether it's road bike, mountain biking, or my fat tire bike.
Awesome. That was it. Rapid fire. You made it through. You did fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome. That's awesome. So you kind of already gave us the background a little bit on how you started with JP, but let's just go ahead and talk about JP a little bit. What makes JP different from other AR platform manufacturers?
Yeah. The simple, fast, easy thing is that they go by JP specs, is what we call it, right? So everybody's like, oh, it's mil spec. Everything so JP is actually a parts company that builds rifles is my best way to explain it, because you can go online and you can buy every part for your rifle from JP and build out your entire rifle. The differences is going to be the tolerances that you're going to see, the specs that everything's made. So though everything will work with all mil spec rifles, ARs, the tolerances are a lot tighter. So when you start putting everything together, that tolerance stacking that we get is minimal on a JP compared to another rifle.
I didn't know that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. And not to disrespect JP or throw salt the other way, but it's almost like it's like a bougie Aero Precision, basically.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It is. Some people are like, well, JP is like the Lamborghini Ferrari of the AR world. And that's where it fits in. And I tell people, I'm like, dude, I got no qualms with any other companies. I've owned Aero Defense, loved it. It shot. I've owned some other rifles, loved them. They all shot. But what I have noticed is I'll get a rifle, I'll go shoot it, and within a month or two, I've started replacing parts with JP parts. Just because there's certain things that I want out of the JP that I'm going to try to get out of those rifles. But yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, it's we can go ahead and say it's like the bougie rifle of the AR world. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
JP kind of has that reputation of like competition dominance. Was that
Yeah.
always the plan for JP? Was competition focus?
No, early on, John Paul was he started out like is it I think it was like there used to be a car magazine, maybe still around. It's called Jegs or something like that, where
Mhm.
they would bring like it was like a brown ale. So like JP started out like a brown ales, but it was all magazine based because there was no website. And so he was
Okay.
just taking all the top companies, parts and stuff, and selling those because that's what he would recommend in an AR that he would build. And then he built a recoil eliminator, which was the very first product JP ever made. It's this big tank brake. A lot of people still
Big
have.
one.
Oh yeah, it's like this guy right here. This
Hell
is
yeah.
it. And they were running that on a full auto, shooting it one-handed, and it was actually on a commercial for TV from the news on news. And
Wow.
he's just one of the guys that's shooting a full auto one-handed. And then that became, hey, we want this comp on our competition rifle because it's so, keeps the rifle so flat.
Makes sense.
And so it just kind of grew from there. It was that, and then there was triggers and things like that. And it just really grew that where John Paul did so much competition stuff. that JP really just kind of fell into the competition realm. It wasn't that John Paul was ever looking for that. He was always looking just how to make the most reliable and accurate AR you could.
And demand kind of drives development, you could say.
Correct.
You
Yeah.
know, when if he is in a space that all of a sudden the demand's taking off, hey, we like your break, we're going to use it on competition, and that's where the money starts coming from. That's going to be the target of your next development, I'm sure.
Exactly. Now, the thing that a lot of people don't know is that we do have an LEO mill program. We do have a lot of departments that are running JPs. Minneapolis SWAT is
Rad.
one that we talk a lot about because Minneapolis SWAT runs all JP rifles. Minneapolis Airport Police, they're running all JP rifles as well. So though a lot of people know us for competition, when you look at it and you take some of the competition stuff out, you're looking for reliability. JP has always been known for reliability. And then accuracy, we've always been known for accuracy. So whether you're competition or your LEO, those are the two things that you want in your rifle, right? You want reliability and I want accuracy. And we're able to supply that. So whether LEO mill or just a competition shooter or hunter, we've got you covered.
Hell yeah. So, show you how smart I am. I just put together, and maybe I'm way wrong, and I hope I'm wrong when I say this, but I'm assuming JP is John Paul Enterprises.
It
Uh,
is John Paul Enterprises.
man, hell yeah,
Yeah.
Captain Obvious. I love it.
Yep.
But talk about him for a second. It was is he a competition shooter? Was he a competition shooter? Or did he just say, "Hey, I'm really good at, the design and the processes, and I'm just gonna build these great parts for people."
Yeah. John Paul is one of those humans that everything he does, he's succeeded at. Like, he's that
Oh,
guy we're all
he's
jealous of,
we all
right? Like,
we all secretly we respect, but we don't like because we can't do that stuff.
yeah, I mean, he played in a band. He was doing custom paint jobs on cars and motorcycles. Literally everything he's ever done, he's been successful at and he's good at it. But ultimately, he is a competition shooter. He still shoots competitively now. I'll get a text when he goes out and he shoots and he wins, or wherever he places, he usually sends me a text of how he did. And he was just the guy that is always expected more out of whatever he's got, whether it was his car, it was a rifle, if it was a whatever. He just expects more out of it, and he wants to push those limits out of that. So yeah, competition's been his thing for years, and he just had some guys around him that were really smart and could draw up his designs and started creating them from there. And now his two boys, Jesse Gangel is the oldest. So it's actually John Paul Gangel is John Paul's full name.
Okay.
Jesse Gangel is his oldest son. That is my direct boss. He's kind of the one that pulled me into the marketing department. He was the director of marketing. And then his youngest son, which he only got the two boys, is Matt Gangel. Matt Gangel is over all of engineering now. So he went to school, came back, and he runs everything. So the JP5, which is a roller delayed PCC, and it runs a lot of the same internal components as the MP5. Matt Gangel is the one that designed that, and as Wayne with it, yeah. Now John Paul still will go shoot something and come in and be like, "Hey, I want to see this, this, and this out of that," and then they go to the drawing board and they start figuring it out. And he gets a lot of the prototypes to go up and play with, but ultimately now the design is sits in Matt Gangel's hand.
Huh.
That's just really cool because it's kind of JP is a small-ish company, but it's also a large company. But it's really cool to see that, the owner and the family, the ownership, everyone is still involved, and it's not just involved with production and meeting deadlines and, bottom dollar. It's, they're shooters and they love to that's just really cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's very family oriented in there. And the Gangle family controls and runs JP, and um, yeah, it is. It's been cool. With all my work that's going on at Real Avid, and then I turn around and I look at JP, the differences between the two companies and how they're ran. I tell everybody I actually enjoy going from one role to another role and seeing how this company has ran versus this company has ran. And some days I'll go from JP to Real Avid or vice versa and see that all in the same day. And whatever type of company you have, being able to see how two different companies are ran has been very fun.
Yeah, you get to peek behind the curtain. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So you've been with JP to some extent since 20, what was the year?
2015.
2015? Okay,
2015, yeah.
so a decade or better.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's significant history. How has JP evolved just in your tenure?
Oh, the company itself, within the buildings, it hasn't changed anything there within inside the buildings, but really involving is all come down to they're just still continuously pushing the limits of what an AR should be able to do. And a lot of people have seen us on this PCC journey because of our JP5. But you turn around and you look at all the new model JPs that have came out and how that is continuously growing and getting better. And um, when we're looking at monolithic uppers now, because not too long ago, seeing a monolithic upper was like, what are you talking about? Right? It just blew people's minds. And
Yeah.
then now you're like, okay, now a lot of people are doing monolithic uppers. Well, before that, JP was doing thermo. We were not thermo. Can't even think of the word of it now. Thermo fitting our barrels to our upper receivers, where our barrels were one with that upper receiver, and we were doing testing where we were running them without barrel nuts to see how long it would take before the barrel would actually shift. And we're running 308s and getting 5,000 rounds out of them before you'd even see any kind of movement
Wow.
from the in any kind of malfunction. So now you took that same technology and now we threw that into a monolithic. So we're just continuously pushing and getting better. And you do see a lot of things kind of come down the pipeline with other companies, and sometimes other companies are ahead of you, and so the competition is just great. But growth wise, yeah, just continuously pushing those limits is kind of where they're at with the AR-15. It's hard to say, right? Because we look at an AR-15 and it's where has the AR-15 really grown
Right.
at? And we're looking at really small things these days that are making huge differences that we would have some people possibly laughed at 5 years ago, if not 10 years ago, and now everybody's kind of doing the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So with that family-owned, shooter, and he's shooter driven, how has that shaped product development compared to larger corporations? I touched on it a little bit, but how is him actually being out there shooting shaped product development other than excuses? Because if I was the owner, I'd be like, well, I didn't finish good because this thing sucks, because I would never blame me. But he's probably more trustworthy than me on that. So how does that shape it?
Yeah, John Paul is first and foremost, like, he hates to lose. He is a businessman, right? Like he's going to look at it and be like, did I shoot to this? Whatever. Let's say right now he's big into 22s, right? So we have an RFX line, which is he's running an NRL 22 and PRS 22. It's a semi-automatic AR, right? Competing with like the Voodoos and things. And for him, he understands his shooting ability with that rifle. Now, how did he perform under the clock? He'll come back and say, hey, I didn't shoot that well, but I did notice this out of the rifle. It was doing this. He will look at groups. He's still one of the best group shooters I've ever seen. So when he's looking at accuracy, he's going to come back and be like, yeah, okay, well, it shot this. I ran it with this ammo. Then I turned around and ran this ammo. I found that it actually shoots the best with this. So I want another upper so I can put it on this lower. I'm going to go shoot it and see how it does in group. So he's really good at giving us the feedback and documenting exactly what he's seeing, what ammo he ran, the groups he shot. If he sees an issue, he will go in and he'll change optics, he will change ammo, and he's really going to break it down for our engineers on this is what I saw and this is what I came across. And this is probably what we need to be focusing on as far as accuracy or reliability. Whether we need to open up that chamber on the 22 a little bit. Do we want an accuracy chamber? Do we want to do more of a sporting chamber on the 22? He's looking at little things like that to get that feedback to the team so they can bring back. Sometimes I've noticed, like, even let's say Real Avid, and I'm only bringing them up because I'm so familiar with that, is the feedback. I don't work on enough guns these days to give them all the feedback that I needed on a tool. So I'd have to be calling my sponsored shooter saying, hey, I'm gonna send you a tool and I need you to do this to get me that feedback. With John Paul, he's out there shooting all the time. So we're getting a lot of this feedback really fast, really early. And as an owner, he has the capability of going to the range anytime he wants on any day, and nobody's going to question him. So, that's pretty nice. So I would say from just having him in there and shooting so much does give JP an advantage over some of the bigger companies where it's business and everybody's focused on business, but they don't have that one guy that they can go out there and truly trust on what he's going to be doing.
Hell yeah.
That's cool. It's developed into a sizable company, but really at the core of it still seems pretty mom and pop.
It is. Yeah, I tell everybody it is mom and pop, and that's we saw what happened to DPMS.
Hmm.
When Randy Lewis sold it
Oh, yeah.
off, and I think John Paul and Randy Lewis were friends. They've always been friends. They've known each other for years. They were 2 hour and a half away from each other. Both companies were. They shot 3 gun together. And I think for John, he looks at a lot of his legacy as what's going to happen to JP? How do we keep JP from becoming the next DPMS?
Yeah.
And so because of that, he's definitely kept it very tight knit. And you could always argue pros and cons to that. But right now, where JP is and the future of JP and where JP's been since 1992, they're looking stronger than ever right now.
Hell yeah.
Well, let's get into that. Let's talk about the future of JP, some of the products and some of the innovation. Before we do that, let's take a quick break, top up your drinks, and hear from our sponsors.
When precision matters, trust the tool that delivers. The Wheeler Pro Series 100-piece fat wrench kit brings unmatched control to your bench. With torque you can trust and 100 purpose-built bits, it's the all-in-one answer for gunsmiths, builders, and perfectionists. Whether you're mounting optics or dialing in fine details, this kit hits every mark. Clean, confident, repeatable. No guesswork, no strip screws. Just pro-level performance in your hands. Upgrade your bench with Wheeler Tools.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Dustin, let's, like we said before our commercial break, let's talk a little bit about products and innovation. JP rifles are definitely known for that buttery smooth recoil system. Can you break down what sets that apart?
Kind of going early on when we were talking about just how we call it JP spec, right? That tighter tolerance. That is at just the very beginning of the process. But really, what we're looking at is the silent capture system or silent
Mhm.
capture spring. There's all these different names. A lot of people call it the SES. And I tell everybody that is when we rack a rifle and it's smooth and we don't hear that cheese grater sound or that kind of that scraping on the inside. That is the JP silent capture system, also known as the SES. And I believe that's where a lot of it starts from, right? A guy picks up a JP, he racks it, he automatically feels that, and then he picks up his rifle and he's like, what is that? Right off the bat, I'm going to be like, hey, the first thing is we're looking at the SES, and that's what changes it. And you can just purchase the SES and drop it into your AR, and you will instantly, first time you rack it, you're instantly going to feel that difference. You're also going to hear the difference. And then when you shoot it, you don't get that vibration, that little twang when you're running. That has been removed from the buffer as well, and getting that little vibration twang on that cheekbone. So that's gone. And that, I believe, is more of the mental game when we're shooting. That when the rifle feels smoother, we think we're shooting faster, we think we're shooting smoother. And that's just really where that comes in. And that's what I tell everybody, like the biggest thing on the JP is going to be that SES that you get with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say another part of it that I've heard a lot about, when you talk to people, some people, most AR people, and I would just want to say most AR people are, on the internet, and there's nothing, not talking to anything bad about this other company because they make a hell of a trigger. But, like most people, it's like, oh, what trigger do I put in my AR? Hands down, everyone is going to say, oh, you can't go wrong with a Geisley. A G trigger's where it's at. And there's nothing wrong with a Geisley, man. They're great triggers. But when you start talking to some of these people who shoot a lot of ARs and they shoot a lot of rounds, they'll say that the JP they actually prefer, and it almost some cases they say it's the best in the industry. You know, why do you think that is?
Uh, well, a lot that goes. The JP trigger is fully adjustable. And so I'm talking about I can set my over travel. I can set my sear adjustment. I can set my disconnector. And then to top all that off, I can set my safety drum as well. So I have within the trigger itself, without the safety, I have 3 different places that I can adjust the trigger if I really wanted to. Also, we're looking at the springs that come in a JP. Um, those springs are cut and everything, custom cut and bent to I'm trying to make sure I don't go into too much stuff here that
Yeah.
I'll later get a phone call about. But those springs are so much better that I have literally taken a trigger out of a friend's rifle, just changed the springs and put them back in there. And it went from feeling like I was hitting like 3 or 4 walls on a factory trigger with factory springs to dropping a pair of, $9.99 springs in there to it. You get rid of all of these different walls within there and you're just on the one wall right on that trigger right before it breaks. We're not getting these false positives all the way down before we get the main one.
Getting
So
that mushy stuff.
exactly. So just little things like that, how they're cut, the way we prep them, especially the way we prep them in the shop and what goes into there. Every trigger when it's put in, a JP rifle is built by one person on it. So if
Mm.
if you were to put in a rifle, either one of you guys were put in a rifle, let's say Brian Payne would pull that rifle and he'd be the only one that touched that rifle and built that rifle. So that trigger is going to be done by Brian Payne on how he likes his triggers within the certain aspects of it matches the JP specifications that trigger has to come out at.
Okay.
And then,
That
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, the biggest complaint that we see, that I hear about on JP triggers is people want them to break below 3 pounds. And John Paul's thing has always been with, I completely understand that people would like them to break below 3 pounds. However, there's a lot of people that will go buy a JP as their, they got all of a sudden they got some money, they're going to go buy a JP, yet they've never put enough rounds down range to actually be able to understand a trigger or any trigger. Let's say any trigger that's like 2.5 pounds to 2 pounds. They don't truly understand that trigger. And that's when they're starting to get bump fires and we're getting, accidental discharges. So John Paul's always looked at it from the safety aspect. Let's keep it at 3 pounds. Now,
Yeah.
can the JP trigger be brought down below 3 pounds? All of my rifles, if you're ever at SHOT Show and you go to Real Avid booth or JP booth and one of my rifles there, that trigger will be breaking right around 2.1 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say you're right when it comes to those triggers, because I get a lot of people
Dangerous.
that haven't shot anything other than, just a standard, mil spec trigger that comes in, AR, you name it, just insert brand. And they come out and it's like, well, hey, I want to shoot something nice. And it happens in ARs, but where it really happens with me a lot is with quality pistols. And you start using a really nice trigger and people start trying to double tap or triple tap. And all of a sudden you realize, oh, man, I had that extra one go off, or you're not quite used to it. And I think they lose sight of how many rounds down range you actually have to send. And people are, in the comments, I don't care, kill me. But you guys just don't understand. In some cases, it's about going fast, but there is such thing as going too fast in certain scenarios. And yet, just like you said, Dustin, you will, have that ND. It'll be pointing the right way. Everything's happening,
Yep.
but like
Yep.
you're just not on target.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, look, it's happened to us all. I'm not ashamed to be like, yeah, I've done it.
Oh, it's never happened to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I just picked up the 2 new staccatos, the HDs. I got the 4 and the 4.5. And I've been putting rounds through them. And then I was like, I'm gonna go shoot my Atlas. And that second shot was not supposed to go off.
Yeah.
But when you look at you're 15,000 rounds into a 4-pound trigger, then you drop down to something that's below 2 pounds. That second shot, that first one, I was like, okay, yeah, let's get back to some dot drills and fundamentals here.
I started doing it. I started doing it really when really started trying to shoot fast. And I'd be lying if I didn't say, in a bill drill, one of those shots when I first started, one of those shots most of the time was not intentional. I mean, it just like it went down there, but like,
Ding.
Yeah, yeah,
ooh,
yeah,
was that
yeah.
7? Was that 8? Or did I just stop because it scared me? Because I think I shot. I don't really know, but
Yeah.
whatever.
I,
Reset the
I'm,
time. Let's go again.
I'm going to share my story too. AK triggers there's spring there, but there's also it's more about contact surface, contacts, and that thing is sub 2.
Yeah, okay,
So
yeah.
my first carbine competition this year, and I went to lean up against a barricade and shoot my first piece of steel, and I hit it twice
Yeah,
on accident. I played it
yep,
off real cool, but it was ding like whoop.
yeah. I at Worlds, there's video of it and everybody's laughing. I came off, it was the last day, it's like my second to last stage of the entire match for me. And I came out of position and I'm running to my right and there's a target there I'm supposed to be shooting at. And as I'm coming up, my finger's already on that trigger, to get ready. And not, I was not shoulder. I mean, I was close enough to be shoulder that it was still safe and it was still in the right direction. It was still on target, but it went off before it should. And, that split second is like, but then you keep going because you're like,
Yeah.
you're in a match, right? If the RO call it, he'll call it. But all my friends on the side saw it and they're like, oh, and I came off. They're like, how did that feel? And I was like, yeah, that one was close, right?
We'll pretend like that never happened.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, exactly. And then, for me, I was embarrassed because everybody saw it happen. And those are some of the times where you're like, all right, I pushed a little farther past my skill level. Let's back it up a little bit.
for the
You learn from them and you keep going.
for the most part, if you shoot enough, you end up figuring out where your experience level is, no matter if it's at novice or all the way at the top expert, and you constantly push yourself. And I don't want to sound unsafe when I say this, but safely we run ourselves to the ragged edge. It's let's run it as fast as we can, let's be as accurate as we can, and let's see if we can, because at some point if you shoot enough, we're all trying to improve tenths or hundredths of seconds. And that can sometimes be, a little bit of movement in your finger off the trigger, and you keep it close enough, you're bound to have a bump.
Well, and that's what I say on the JP. If you really set the over travel where it needs to be or where you would like it, where it's really, really short, so you have zero creep. The trigger's already breaking around 2 pounds, at least on mine. It takes that little bit of just barely coming off and riding that trigger. There's enough there where it's going to go off when you don't want it to. And that's also the single stage design, right? Because all JP triggers are single stage, and you look at other triggers, some of them are 2 stage, and I think it just comes back to what somebody's looking for, what they like, how they've been trained. A lot of military guys, they come out and they're like, hey, I want a solid 2 stage trigger because that's what they trained on. For myself, my very first AR was actually built by a guy called, his name's Paul Grundhauser. He built some of the best 2011s back in the day. And he, built this with a JP trigger, a lot of JP internals in it. And that trigger took me a while to get used to because it was so nice. And so my entire shooting competition wise, I've only ran JP triggers, so that's truly
mm,
all I understand
spoiled
and
boy.
know. Yeah, yeah, and I've ruined a lot of JP triggers trying to get them to where I want them to be, where they are no longer a reliable trigger for what we would like to see out there. So, you know, yeah.
So JP barrels are also pretty well renowned for competition for precision shooters. Can you walk us through a little bit of the design philosophy and the differences in a JP barrel?
Yeah. So, when we look at barrels, there's 2 parts of the barrel. Well, there's a lot, but let's just go with actual functioning parts here. We got barrel extension and we got barrel. It goes back to tolerance, right? We're trying to minimize as much tolerance stacking as possible. So, barrels are kind of cryogenically treated. But first, our barrels go through an inspection. They're looked at, check them out, make sure they fit within the specs that we're needing them to fit. If they do, those are good. They're going to go out to being cryogenically treated. Then they're going to come back and they're fitted with our barrel extensions that match our specs, what we're looking for. So everything from, feed lips are polished. There's no rough edges anywhere that's going to catch the bolt face. We want to make sure that our bolt locks up really well within the barrel extension. And then as soon as we're pushing the round off the feed lamp in the mag into, it's not getting scratched on there. So a lot of it just goes down into just the whole build of what's going on in there. But the cryogenically treated plus the thermal dissipator that we put on the rifles has found, just ultimately really made those barrels where they are shooting sub MOA. And if you've got a barrel that's not shooting sub MOA, then we're gonna pull that barrel and we're gonna put a new barrel in there, given ammo, right? I mean, there's some ammo out there that's just not made to be ran at sub MOA, and no matter what barrel you have it in, it just won't shoot it. But for the most part, a JP rifle, you can run it. It's going to shoot sub MOA all day long. I've got some guys out there that are getting sub half MOA out of their 18-inch barrels right now.
I don't even know what that means, dude.
Yeah.
I shoot steel case ammo out of AKs. I'm like a minute a man kind of guy.
At a water heater.
At a water heater.
Yeah. So, you look at like Jacob Hepner right now. I don't know if you guys know who Jacob Hepner is, but he's one of my JP shooters. He's in the tactical games, dominating the tactical games right now. He's shooting our 16-inch, and he's shooting, close to sub 3/4 MOA right now with the suppressor on it. And he doesn't clean his rifles. So that thing is dirty. He's got over 20,000 rounds through it, and it's just rocking and rolling right now.
I was going to ask you, and I mean, I don't want to get you in any trouble, and I don't want to set limitations on your barrels. But is there and if you say I don't really know, or I wouldn't feel good talking about it, that's cool. But is there a safe expectation? Because lots of people don't think about this, and most people won't shoot this much. But is there a approximate round count of like, hey, around this, that's when we start to see the barrel? I mean, it's not shot out completely yet, but this is about when, if I was a competition shooter, I would replace barrel.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's all going to be dependent on caliber first, right? Like my 6 Creedmoor is only going to get me about 13,000 or 1,300 to 1,500 rounds. But let's go with your common 5.56, 223, because all JP barrels are a 223 wild, right? So we can run 5.56 or 223. There are barrels out there. Lanny Barnes, for instance, has some barrels out there with over 60,000 rounds to them. Josh Freilich is sitting around 50, 60,000 rounds through certain barrels. I've got one, another safe that's kind of retired now, but it's sitting around 45,000 rounds through it, and they're all still shooting sub MOA.
Yeah.
So, but JP, all things, even across the board, our barrels have a 10,000 round warranty on it. And that's just because we don't know what you're doing with your rifle. We don't know if you're doing a barrel break-in. We don't know if you're cleaning it. We don't know what you're doing with that barrel. So 10,000 rounds is the warranty on these barrels.
Yeah, we don't know if your buddy's making some spicy rounds in his garage for your
exactly
deer season.
Well, and how hot you get a barrel has a lot to do with its wear. Heat has more to do with degradation than actual number of rounds, because someone could shoot 5-10 rounds in a day, let it cool off in between, and that barrel's going to last them 100,000 rounds.
Yeah.
Or a guy could smoke the whole thing in 10,000 rounds on an FRT or something and cook it out. But
we were just having a conversation. Funny enough, I think it was on Thursday. It was myself and Andre Dizitel, one of the sales guys at JP. Phenomenal shooter, by the way. He took 3rd at Worlds with PCC shooting irons.
Damn, congrats.
Yeah,
right on.
He's a IDPA national champion. Finishes in the top 10 for USPSA and PCC. Just phenomenal shooter. But anyways, him and I were having a long discussion the other day about the thermal dissipator that we put on our barrels. And it's there to work as a radiator. But within the 3-gun stage, if I shoot let's say the entire stage is 120 seconds, but I'm shooting shotgun, pistol, and rifle. And in a rifle, I'm only shooting 25 rounds out of the rifle. Does that barrel actually get hot enough for us to actually even see anything going on with the barrel? And then, so does the thermal dissipator actually come into play at this, even at that point, right? It's hard to say. It's like, where is this, this time versus heat thing kind of kick in where we really know what's going on with barrels. So the thermal dissipator, we were actually looking at maybe in the tactical games might actually get pushed harder. Like the barrels in the tactical games may be pushed harder than the barrels in a 3-gun match, because they're going to do these 10-round bursts within so many minutes, but in a 3-gun stage, they're going to shoot and then be done for maybe 2 hours, and that may last for 20 seconds.
Especially if they're suppressed and you're keeping that back pressure higher and you're keeping the hot air in there longer. I mean, yeah, you're going to generate heat quicker.
Yeah. So we've really been kind of going back and trying to figure out, and we got a guy, his name's Dave Kamick. We call him employee number 1. We're sure he's already nerded out on this, that we just got to sit down and ask him to get the real, and even John Paul could probably answer this for us, but that was a question that we had. And it comes back to, you're right. Like, we've seen guys load up a 53 grain 223 and they're screaming hot. Well, that thing's so fast, it's going to burn through that barrel a lot faster. But where does that thermal dissipator that we've put on there, where does that come into play with that? But and how does that prolong the life? But we do know the cryogenically treating our barrels, plus the thermal dissipator, we're getting 50,000, 60,000 plus rounds out of our 223 barrels for sure. I've got a 14 and a half inch 308 with 16,000 rounds. So right now that still shoots sub MOA. And that was one of my main competition rifles for 4 years.
So if let's just say we got a guy, hypothetically, we got a guy who's going to sit there at his house and he's going to build his AR, and he's putting his build list together now. Is there a JP product that you personally think is underrated, that needs more credit, or needs more, like, hey, you guys are sleeping on this one?
Yeah. It's funny. This is gonna be like the weirdest thing ever. But it's gonna be the JP microfit pins, or takedown pins, or takedown pivot pin. You can get them in different sizes. So I think they're double oversized, standard, under, and then double undersize. So it's to take care of the slot between the upper and lower receiver that you see so many people, they get it and they build it up, they do everything, but it still kind of rattles in their hands. You can buy some microfit pins. This has nothing to do with performance, but it's more of that mental game of, you hand somebody your rifle and it just feels quality because there is no rattling in there. And it's the JP microfit takedown pins from a non-performance standpoint, just pure mental, feeling it, make you feel good about your build. It would be those right there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I know it's not the most exciting thing out there.
No, it matters though, because you guys, and we're going to keep talking about more products, but you guys are just, it's like you're trying to perfect a rifle that at every part is not meant to be a precision rifle. There are so many places for deflection and movement and wobble and you name it, that it's just inherent with the AR. It's a great design, it's a great system, but I don't think it was ever intended to be precision, and you guys have figured out a way to do that. So I mean, that's just really cool.
So John Paul, growing, like, he owned a gun shop, and he hated the AR-15. Like, that was a platform that he just thought didn't deserve to be around. He thought it was just never going to be accurate. He was seeing reliability issues, a lot of things. And one of his sales guys took an AR in on trade. Listening to him talk this story, like, he was just upset that somebody would trade a rifle in on his team for an AR-15. It sat on the rack for a while. And he finally was like, all right, I'm going to take this out. I'm going to go shoot it. I'm going to see what it's capable of. He shot it, didn't like what it did. He started tearing it apart and trying to figure out how to make it better. And that's ultimately like kind of I tell everybody that was like the real beginning of JP, was him taking this rifle and trying to figure out how to make an AR shoot better. Because he went to a military school, so he shot 22 in the basement of their high school. So he's always been about accuracy and reliability, and then he got this. And so when you look at the micro fit takedown pins, it's something very small, but it goes into the precision fit and feel of a rifle. You know, we've got those, and you look at our buffer tubes. Those have all been honed out like you would hone out your engine in your car, so you can run your fingernail on the inside, and you're not catching any bumps. It's smooth. It's just all these little things that nobody thinks about that we're trying to remove all of these things and make it a race car in the AR world. So it's just going to function and cycle really smooth, but always have that reliability and that accuracy.
Oh yeah.
You guys
But
want
if
to
you
know
want
that?
something cool, you want something cool that I would change off the bat that would
Okay.
actually, I feel like would make the rifle run better and you have more control over it. It's going to be the JP adjustable gas blocks. So whether you're running suppressed or not suppressed, it's an adjustable gas block from JP that I would throw on.
There is something so satisfying about getting gas just right on a gas rifle where, like, it's not kicking out 60 feet and it's just like right over your elbow. Like, oh my gosh,
Yep.
it's just like,
Yep.
pop, 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 pop. I like gas.
Yeah.
There's a real.
There's a real, I like gas. So also, Dustin, JP's, it's newer to you guys, but JP's delayed 9mm PCC is pretty freaking awesome. I guess what makes it so reliable? Like, what things does it kind of share with an HK roller design? What makes it different? How do we stuff it all in an AR-15? Because the delayed PCCs, nothing on them, but just kind of a comparison in the market. Like CMMG has a delay system. It's not a roller delay, but I guess how is that different? Why is JP superior?
Yeah. I thought I actually had a bolt here. I was going to take apart and show it to you guys, but I pulled it out and let somebody else use it. But when we're looking at the bolt, it is roller delay, just like the MP5s. We share the same rollers, the pin, like the little cotter pin that locks in and keeps the rollers in place. You can, if you have an MP5 and those are out, you can buy those from JP. We have plus, like, I think we go up to +4 and all the way down to -4. So what happens is on the MP5, as those were being ran, those rollers were wearing down and the inside of the receiver was wearing down. And that's when they started having some reliability issues. So we've made rollers that will actually fix that, where you can go bigger. So if it's really worn down, you can open that up and get in there. Now we have the lock pieces. We share the same lock pieces that the MP5 has, but we've got more. So we do 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, all the way up to 100. And then we have 110 and 120. So the degrees is what keeps the bolt closed longer or opens faster on that lock piece with those rollers, depending on the ammo that we're running. Now, the rods that are on the inside of a JP5, we've got some steel rods in there. Those steel rods are held in by 2 roll pins, so we can punch those out and replace them if they ever start to wear down.
Okay.
So we are controlling a lot of different, like, the way we've built the JP5, everything can be controlled and replaced and removed.
Serviceable. It's all serviceable.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Serviceable. Now we've also teamed that up with an SES that was designed to work with the roller delayed PCC, like the JP5. So its SES was specifically designed with the spring rake for that. And then the fluting, we've got the same fluting in the barrel. So if you're ever at the range and you're walking around, you're picking up brass, and you pick up some brass that's got tiger striping on it, it either came from an MP5 or a JP5, because that's the fluting that's inside the chamber. So kind of go in there, you just look at that part of, the MP5 is already reliable and it ran. The parts that started to wear, JP not only made it where those parts are serviceable, but we also made more parts for it. Okay. And now we can start to fine tune this rifle to run whatever ammo it is that we have out there. So I run Remington range 124 grain. So my power factor out of my rifle is 148.9, which is pretty spicy when we're looking at PCC.
Yeah.
But because my lock pieces, I can change my lock pieces and run them like an adjustable gas block, and I can keep my carrier closed a little longer to let that pressure open up before it actually before the carrier itself opens up.
Okay.
So because we can come in and we can adjust all the things and change everything, plus we've kept the specs back to the JP specs and kept those so tight that when we compared this with our original, PCC, just our blowback, which was the GMR 15, it runs way, way smoother than the JP 15 or the GMR 15, but it's completely controlled. Now, we can slow down the mass and everything on a blowback by changing out the masses and the weight, changing out the masses in the SES. We can put more mass there, or we can remove mass depending on what we're shooting, what we're doing. But that's really what it is. It's I tell everybody, it's not anything that's not like magic. We just really took the MP5 design and fixed some of the flaws that it had and dropped it into an AR platform. Dude, there's going to be some HK guys that are like, the MP5 had 0 flaws. And when I mean flaws is when they start to go down,
They don't
they're
run.
not serviceable. There's a lot of things out there for a long time that was not serviceable. And now if you have an MP5 and it's down, we've had some SWAT teams call us and we've sent them out parts and they've got their MP5s back up running some JP parts in the MP5s.
So I guess
That's rad.
I'm gonna go into the weeds a little bit, and a lot of people listening are gonna say, "Why are you talking about this?" Because it doesn't really matter. But I got a caveat to this. So with like MP5s, like I've got above me and all those things, when you start getting into suppressing those, you're suppressing something that was designed not to be suppressed until the SD. So when it comes into that, you have to start playing with your rollers a bit. Um, and then also, when I decide to drop a trigger pack on one of those, you're doing even more damage to the original design if you're shooting an SP or an AP, whatever you're shooting. So there's a lot that goes into that. Is that kind of similar with the JP? And the only reason I ask is because now more than ever, FRTs are the new thing. If someone's wanting to throw an FRT, why they would do it, I don't know. But if you're wanting to drop an FRT in a precision JP rifle, um, do you think that, yeah, you're definitely just don't do some damage to the bolt, like you're gonna need to do some work on that to tune that thing properly? Or do you think it's good to go?
No, so the JP is it's ready to go. From we've got so employee number 1 has made at one point a 3-inch suppressed JP5 full auto that
Let's
was
go, dude.
good. It
Completely,
was
completely not necessarily, but necessary, but at the same time, entirely necessary.
if
If his job opens up, let me know. I'll send you my LinkedIn. You let me
yeah.
know. Guy that
um,
builds stupid stuff in shop.
yes. And dude, it's the coolest thing, right?
Yeah.
And because we got all these lock pieces, and because our tolerances are so tight, he just changed the lock piece to handle what it was doing, and the
Mm.
thing was up and running with no problem, right? So went to the range, change out a couple lock pieces, test it, see which one you like. And right now, for the most part, if you're the guy, there's a couple of us guys at JP that have been playing with the JP5 so much that you'd be like, hey, I'm running this, this, and this. And I'd be like, yeah, get this lock piece and then get this spring set for your SES and change it out, and that rifle will run with 0 issues.
Okay.
So yeah, it is that not programmable, but it's so much like an AR that I can do that. And that's why when you were asking me those rapid questions, you're like, what's your favorite platform, PCC or AR-15? Well, I went AR-15, but then after that, I went PCC for the rest of it because the JP5 it takes the same handguard, same grip.
It's an AR.
So, but the only cool thing about it and why I picked it the most is because it takes Glock mags.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I moved over to the Staccato HD, because it takes Glock mags. So I can go shoot a PCSL match and shoot my PCC in my Staccato, and I'm only taking one set of mags with me. So yeah, going back to your question, the JP5 can be easily changed over, not mess with the rollers. You can just change out your lock pieces and get it to run the way you want it to run all the time. Very
Okay.
easy. Yeah.
Perfect.
Well,
Yeah.
that's really advantageous because maybe not everybody's played with AR9s. I've been playing with an AR9 Frankenstein build, and there's a lot of caveats. There's a lot of things that have to work right, but your tunability is really basic. You're basically limited to spring and buffer weight. Um, Reading in forums and stuff, people are doing crazy stuff like welding in weights to the back of their carriers or cutting off the ends of their carriers, and so it gets kind of concerning pretty quick when
Yeah.
you start tuning them, especially for really labor intensive jobs like FRT ARs or super safeties or whatever. But having that ability to you can tune lock, you can tune lower or roller, and you still have the ability to tune spring and weight gives a lot of tunability to something that would normally just be blowback against a spring.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
rad.
You're just trying to control that mass, right?
Yeah.
So on the JP5, we're going to control the mass in a couple of different places. We can control it through the SES, the spring itself, so we can mess with the weight, or the spring, or we're going to get into lock speed. So this is actually a pre-production JP5 right here that I've been running for years. The lower is actually what I ran for Worlds. I have a different upper for it that I ran there. But yeah, if we get into just some of the basics, like if we look at it, we have some of the same components that you're going to see in the MP5, and then drop out of screen here. All right. So you can see the rollers. I don't know how good you guys can see there.
Yeah.
So the extractor and extractor spring will work in your MP5 as well, but the whole thing comes apart. And then
There's the locking piece.
that's my lock piece right there.
There
Sorry,
she
I
is.
don't know if
Dude,
that's
was that that is
Weird.
cool. Was that locking piece? It's backwards compared to the MP5. Is it facing the buffer?
No, it goes in the same way. It just could have
Okay.
been the way I took it apart. Yeah, but no, it goes in the same way. And
Yeah.
then
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's
It's an MP5 carry bolt face on an AR carrier kind of.
yeah, exactly. So that looks just
That's
like a
wild.
regular BCG,
Yeah.
JP BCG.
Started out
There you
that
go.
way.
Yeah. So here's a JP BCG. Well, just the carrier, I should say. And
Yeah.
then here's the one, and then here's the one for the JP5. And then this lock piece, when we're talking about degrees, for anybody that doesn't know this, but the degree that we're working on right here is going to be right here. So
Okay.
this is, which one is this? Yeah, this is a 55 degree.
That is freaking cool.
And so, yeah, so the cool thing is like, I've been to a couple of matches, especially at Worlds, right? So there's people all over the world that have MP5s. And so that's what they're shooting their competition. And they showed up and they're like, hey, will this lock piece work in my MP5? And I'm like, it will. And they would throw the lock piece in the MP5 and go shoot it and come back. And they're like, I'll buy all of these lock pieces that you have because all of my friends have MP5s back in our country. And so, just moving lock pieces over there has been crazy. And then rollers, they were trying to buy our rollers and our extractors, anything. So if you're an MP5 guy and you're needing extractors or rollers or lock pieces, or you want to play with any of that, jprifles.com, go over to the drop down menu and you'll get into JP5 components and all that stuff is in there.
Yeah, I'm looking right
But-
now. Go to rifle parts all the way to the bottom, JP5 components, and then holy hell.
I like
That's-
roller stuff.
Man,
Yeah.
I've been on a roller delay kick here.
I know. I need a roller gun.
2025 has been the year of roller delay for me, and I've just been buying everything up. And
They're so cool. They're so nice. Like, I can change ammo and I can change a lock piece if I wanted to, or I don't have to change a lock piece if I don't want to. And now in what I'm, when I'm talking about just changing my lock pieces, but for PCC, we are talking about a 10th of a second is what separates us from somebody else. Right. And then, so that's what we're chasing. For the most part, you could get a PCC, you run 115 grain. It comes with the factory I think it comes from the factory with a 70-degree locker in there. That thing will run all day long. Competition wise, we're chasing tenths of a second. We're changing everything so much where this SES, I drilled holes in all of my weights. And then I actually drilled a hole into my actual slider here, because I was trying to reduce as much mass as possible while getting my lockers down as low as possible, so I could get my rifle to just shoot a certain way. And the thing you gotta pay attention to there though is a reliability out of like a JP5. We're gonna tell everybody, hey, it needs to go about 3 foot from us. When you're getting into the area that I'm in, we're like at 2 feet. Like that brass is only going out like 2 feet. You call JP and be like, I modified it to where it's only coming out 2 feet. They'll be like, okay, you need to take it back to where it's 3 feet and it'll run perfect.
Yeah.
If I have a malfunction when I'm on the clock, I'm not going to blame JP. There's only one person to blame right there. And it's me.
No, you're in there playing with the stuff. You're cooking up a recipe.
You've already voided the warranty real
Yeah.
good.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, yeah. I think at one time I was running AR-10 springs on here, testing it with no weights because I wanted to see what it do. And, I'm sitting there shooting. And what I noticed was that the spring was coming in so fast and so hard that it was driving my rifle down after the shot. So when the bolt carrier would come in, the rifle would dip. So I started having, when my groups went from like being like this to here. And I was like, okay, so then I went from one extreme to the other. So now I was like, okay, let's go to the lowest or the next lowest AR-10 spring. And we worked all the way down. I worked all the way down, kept measurements, pictures, marked everything, watched my timer. And I was like, oh, my shot timer was like, okay, it said this was my time. Okay, cool. So going back to gear, it'd be my shot timer. If I really can only have one gear at the range that was most important, my shot timer.
Heck yeah.
Man, so
The grumpy BB box.
yeah,
Yes.
well, I was gonna say there's so many now. People use pack timers. There's so many different ones. I'm stuck on Shooters Global right now.
Shooter Global's phenomenal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, which is Shooters Global your go-to right now?
No, it is not. I've been running the Kestrel.
Kestrel's a good timer too.
Fine choice. Yeah.
Yeah. So Doug Koenig and I are pretty good friends. Spent a lot of time with him. He ran the same pack timer from the beginning of his career until the Kestrel came out. And he helped develop the Kestrel. He's tied in really good with Kestrel. So he helped develop that shot timer. So there's a lot of little things that I was looking for in a shot timer, and talking to Doug, what he was able to push out on that. That's what I went for. But I can't deny, like, I play with Shooter Global because a lot of competitions and matches now, the organizations are running Shooter Global and they're phenomenal. Like, but at the end of the day, just get a shot timer because you need it. Yeah, for
BB
sure.
box.
I find myself on the Shooter Global app running all of the stages, and you can like all the virtual stages, and I'm like, I'm trying to figure out where I'm at in the stage. Like, never mind dry firing at whatever's supposed to be in front of me. I'm just like, I'm trying to figure out how to like, what are we even doing here? Like that thing is smarter than I'll ever be. There's way more function in that.
So I was telling people, because we've always looked at dry fire. The dry fire gets boring, right? It gets to a point where you're like, in programs like the virtual reality, that ACE training, and the Shooter Global have actually made it now where dry fire can be entertaining, and you can compete against other people. My problem is that I will be more focused. I'll treat it like a video game, and I'm going to be more focused on competing against other people. That I don't know if it would be beneficial for me, just based off my personality. Like, I'm going to get lost in there just trying to chase somebody, chase their times. Am I throwing out my fundamentals? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say, so like running like the X10 from Mantis, whatever, or running like their Blackbeard.
Yep.
I like the Blackbeard. That's cool. I don't know if it helps me dry fire for sure, but I actually like putting this on a pick rail on the rifle, because what it's helping me do is it's helping me figure out my draw up on target. Am I swinging? Am I coming in at an angle? Am I being the most efficient? But I'm right there with you. The moment I get into virtually competing against someone else, it just brings back duck hunt. And you always knew that friend who would sit really close to the TV and just shoot like this and kill everything. And it was just like, well, there's always going to be a way to to fudge some things, but just fine tuning your skills, you can't really fake that.
Yeah, I run both of those that you're talking about. The Blackbeard, I found the Blackbeard was really good for positional type shooting. So if I wanted to work on PRS type stuff, NRL type shooting, you bring out your ladder, put your ladder up, put a target down range, and then just work on throwing the bag up, getting in there, and just working on shooting all the rungs and work your way up and work your way back down on the shot timer. And the Kestrel will pick up. You can change the Kestrel settings all the way down, so it will pick up dry fire. So you can get on the clock, but you can also see where you actually broke that trigger. So if you're going fast, you'll see when you start breaking that trigger off target. So the Blackbeard for NRL PRS on a gas gun, I love it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Dustin, if someone has made the decision that a JP rifle is going to be their entrance into a modern sporting rifle, what would you recommend as kind of the best overall of like value overall, best overall rifle from JP right now?
So we're going to look at it from a budget standpoint here.
Yeah.
So I always say, if you want to get into a JP, but you don't have a big budget, and you're looking for a 223, first I'm going to be like, what are we looking at? We looking for a 3-gun setup? Are we looking for just something fun to have around the house and plink? I'm a huge fan of 14.5 inch. I think they're great for almost everything I'm doing, for the most part. So I'd say probably a JP15, ambidextrous controls, ambidextrous safety, switches on there. Uh, JP15, 14.5 inch, probably do what you need it to do. If you go to JP Rifles and drop down, you'll see Ready Rifles. Some of those in there in the Ready Rifle, I'd probably say are the go-tos. So you could either do a patrol or a professional rifle in there. Those would probably be the first go-tos. Like if I just I wanted to get into a JP, I'm on a budget, but I want something that's got adjustable gas block, SES, nice 3-pound trigger, and it's like the heart of a JP. That's where I would go. Yeah.
Well, and JP is gonna be like an ecosystem essentially, right? So someone could start maybe on the lower end of the JP offerings, and there's always going to be accessories from lines that they could upgrade later if they bought a plain rifle and decide they want to do competition with it. They've got that ability there.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, because you can always buy uppers. I mean, I got uppers just sitting here. Uh, you know, for training, I like to use a 22. So here's my 22 that I was training with for PCC Worlds. That just drops onto my JP15 lower, and I can run it all day long. Yeah, but yeah, accessorizing ARs are great. And you can go all day long on those things. But so a JP15 in that area, like I said, the patrol or a professional rifle would be phenomenal. And then if you really want to get a little crazy after that, so this is a JP15 lower
Yeah.
on my PSC 21 upper. So what I like about JP, in a lot of my rifles are this. So I got my charger here, but I have a non-reciprocating side charger.
Wow.
So the cool thing about it is I never have to break cheek weld. So I can be on target. Let's say something happens. My rifle went down to 1 shot. I can be on target, rack it per shot. I never break cheek weld. I'm always on target. This is more of a LEO tactical style charger where it stays down. And then we have a competition side charger. That's actually on a rifle I loaned out. But this competition side charger sticks out. So it always just kind of hang out about to right here. So that way it's just made, I can grab it no matter where I'm at and be off to the races. So we could do top charger, side charger. You could do side charger only, or you could do top charger only. JP does offer those. Now, if you do side charge only, you have to get a specific lower for that. Side charge only are phenomenal for suppress because there's no way you're gonna get any blowback in your face because all the gas, if any gas leaves, it's gonna come out the side of the side charger here. and you're not going to feel it on your hand or anything like that, but definitely not going to be in your face. So
Well, that's cool as hell. That's cool
yeah,
as hell. Well, now that you're doing all your show and tell over there, I want to get more into that. But before we do, let's take our final break of the show and hear from another sponsor, and we'll get right back to it.
That's a sound done right. Scope rings, mounts, handguards, locked in with exact torque. Wheeler Fat Sticks don't guess, they deliver. Every click means you're dialed, not overdone. No strip threads, no compromise, just precision. Wheeler Fat Sticks. Hear the click, trust the build.
All right, so we are back, and now I want to talk to you about, of course, all the fun stuff behind you. So when we talk about competition, I know you're going to say it depends, but let's just talk about three gun. What is your go-to rifle setup for competition?
yeah. For a long time, I shot heavy division, so it was a 14.5 inch ultralight 308. That thing weighed 7 pounds, and it was a blast to shoot. But nowadays, when I'm talking to people about a really good setup for three gun, and this is going off the fact that if they're shooting three gun, they're probably going to shoot PCSL, and PCSL is not. It's kind of in between USPSA and three gun type setup, just a little bit more organized. But I'm telling a lot of people at least start with a 16 inch because you may want to go suppressed one day. You never know, like on a three gun match, you may go to it and they're shooting out to 700, 800 yards. So at least a 16 inch will actually give you that accuracy out to that distance. And it'll fight that wind a little better than a 14.5 inch. PCSL is only going to shoot out to like 200, 250 yards. So 16 inch kind of cover you across the board. But if you're like, hey, you want to focus hardcore on three gun and you don't plan on shooting PCSL, I'd say 18 inch because you can, those 800 stages or 800 yard stages with an 18 inch and the weight of that rifle is definitely not going to move even after you fine tune it. It's not going to move, but it's going to be shooting lasers at 800 yards.
Okay.
What's your favorite match memory? Good, bad, ugly, indifferent?
I shot hard as hell in 2019. Yeah, it's like 2019. This was in the time when you could be politically incorrect. There was a wall that everybody had to climb. The RO or the match director came over and we're friends. And I looked at it and I was like, that's pretty racist, dude. I was like, you want a Mexican to climb that wall? And so everybody kind of jumped in and was chiming in. And I said, well, joke's on you. Hey, my family, we swam across the Rio Grande. So I'm not climbing no damn wall. There was a huge puddle because it just rained. Huge puddle. And he's like, Dustin, I tell you what, you go through the puddle, like you dive into that puddle. You don't have to climb the wall, and I won't, you won't get deducted any time or points for skipping the wall. I'm like, let's do it. There's like 45 degrees outside, and we got to go from one bay to another bay. I took my socks and shoes off because I was like, I'm not going through the water with that. Took my socks, shoes off, electronics, all that, gave it to people. Shot the shotgun portion barefoot, which was a horrible decision. I tore up my feet. And dude, I came running, like sprinting around the corner, and I dove straight into this puddle. And it was not deep, by the way. So I hit hard. I lost my glasses, or I think my glasses stayed on. Somehow I lost my headphone. I broke my caddies to my shotgun shells.
Oh no.
And when I come out, there's all this water in my mouth. And like, we've got slow-mo of me spitting this water, and it's just out. That's probably one of my most fun match experiences because it was just something
For the boys,
completely,
dude.
it was just completely different. I was hanging out with all my friends. And then, shooting wise, like if we get into some stages, I think just overall Worlds, that experience of Worlds, it wasn't just one stage, it was just the overall experience of shooting with people from different countries and getting to talk to them and hear how they shoot. Those are two memories that will forever go with me for everything I've done and seen. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were talking during the break, and I do wanna ask you about it. You said you were gonna be prepping for 27, right? You've got another
Yeah.
Worlds?
Yeah. So IPSC Rifle Worlds is in Mongolia 2027, and I would like to attend it. So I'm still shooting some PCC, but I've been moving more towards building out my next rifle for IPSC Worlds, which would be a 223, and playing around with that and what that looks like. Uh, so yeah, Mongolia. Yeah, I I I think it's
Got some distances out there.
Closest I've
yeah
ever been to Mongolia is Genghis Grill.
yeah the same. So I don't know. I haven't really looked into it too much. So within the United States right now, USPSA controls IPSC in the United States. I'm sure they'll throw out some matches that you have to attend and uh, be in, and that's how you'll qualify for that. And then we'll start putting it together. Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out right now. I'm leaning more towards an 18-inch for that, and then that means I'll build out that 18-inch. I'll probably shoot some two gun a lot. Well, I won't probably. I'll shoot a lot of two gun matches, and I'm still going to shoot USPSA matches, like with PCC, because that's as close as I can get to shooting an IPSC style match. And then when I go to Germany next year for EWA, I'll probably try to find a match to shoot in Germany that's going to be similar to IPSC rounds with the rifle.
Man, that's cool as shit, man. Just thinking about it. I understand that, yeah,
Wow.
you might have some sponsorships, you might have some people that help you a little bit here and there, but I mean, you're gonna be funding some of this as well out of your own pocket. But
Yeah,
it's just cool as hell that, this is for people that, this is why people love this industry that don't work in it, because they look around and say, dang, people get to do stuff like this for a living. And I mean, it's really cool it's humbling when you kind of get to sit back and look and see where all of see where this industry has taken you and all the people it's introduced you to. It's got to be a cool feeling.
it is. I've had a blast. I tell a lot of people, you know, I've been blessed. I've been very lucky to make the friends that I've had, to have the opportunities that have been given to me. Um, and a lot of people are like, oh, you're living your dream job, and I'm like, I am, but just like any other job, there's definitely days where you're like,
Yeah.
this is
Still
not the
work.
dream job today, guys.
This is,
Yeah.
this is not
this,
this is not what I want to do for a living. I didn't sign up for this.
yeah, this is work. But yeah, no, I've been blessed, and I've had a great time. And if I can do IPSC Worlds, that's going to be phenomenal. They're supposed to be announcing in the next 2 weeks where PCC Worlds is going to be at for 2028.
Oof.
So I'm hoping that'll be in Finland, and then that'll be I'll try to do Mongolia 27, Finland in 28, and kind of go from there. So
Dang. World
yeah,
class.
well, we're just hanging out. We're going to watch all the world class shooters. I'm just hanging out with
I
them.
mean, still 50 percentile any kind of worlds, brother. That's a big deal. You're a humble man, Dustin. I appreciate that about you.
Well, I appreciate that.
I like to live in the fantasy world. So if if you could build out one JP rifle, no budget, no rules, maybe even it becomes its own rifle in the lineup, what is this what is this fantasy rifle of JP JP parts
Okay.
look like?
Yeah. So it'd be an SEI, which is side charge only, monolithic upper. It would be an 18-inch barrel cut down to 17. So it'd be 18-inch rifle length barrel, cut down to probably 17.7 inches. I would run a DGS, probably a D11 adjustable gas block on it. Go with a variable mass carrier. So JP has a carrier that has the weights on it,
Yeah.
like the SES. So I go with variable mass carrier. Of course, I go with an SES with an entire JP15 spring pack and weights, just so I can modify that. I go with the JP roller trigger that I would pull and probably spend 5 hours on trying to modify it to get it down to below 2 pounds. um, and then, of course, I have to go with the SEI lower because it's side charge only, so I'd have to have that lower on there. And then, yeah. handguards, JP's kind of got two different handguards. I would do the rapid configuration handguard, which is it's this handguard here. So I would do the 17-inch handguard. So my muzzle should be sitting like right here with how I cut it down. So right in that area.
That thing's is that handguard round?
This thing sounds
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
sauce.
I hate muzzling people here, but I'll kind of show it to you.
It's just a camera. It's okay, Dustin.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling, but
It's completely round. It's gnarled all the way through there.
I was gonna say it gives me like PRI vibes.
Yeah,
a little bit, yeah.
I like the round handguard. When I first saw round handguards, I did not like them until I got a little older and started getting in my feelings about retro rifles, and then it was like, you know what, round handguards have a home at my house. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely like them.
Yeah, I honestly I have these two that have our Ilmlock style handguard on there, and I have them for demos. So when I go to a match and I'm running a booth or anything like that, people can see that we have Ilmlock. But all of my personal rifles that I've built out, they all come with the rapid configuration handguard on there. Nice round texture. It's also kind of like homage back to JP because JP's always had the round handguard. So I like a lot of my stuff to stay a little traditional to JP. If I'm going to be something like I run and it's going to be in videos or photos, I try to go with a black and red scheme because that's what JP's color's always been. Kind of give homage back to what JP was back in the day.
Well, it's cool. Everybody, I think the modern trend is to, you want to rail all the way down the end of it, and not every rifle's purpose is to be a fighting rifle with lasers and lights and things and crap hanging all over it.
Yeah.
And really, you need a spot to put an optic and maybe some ability down further end. But a lot of rifles that you're shooting can just be an optic and a rifle without a bunch of junk hanging off of it. So
like
I think
if
it's a cool aesthetic.
If I wanted a rail, like let's look at, so this is we make chassis as well this is our APAC chassis.
Damn,
with
son.
a Bagara 22 trainer inside of it. So I can use this for long range. So this is still the rapid configuration handguard, but I can put an man, I am losing all my word. Arca rail on the bottom. I can throw weights on it, and I can run a rail all the way down the top of it if I so chose to.
Is it M-Lock slotted on the top?
No, that's the only thing is that it's not M-Lock slotted on here, but I could run rails and stuff like that. But the cool thing is that the stock does fold onto the charging handle of or on the bolt.
That chassis is sick, bro.
Where is this? What is this chassis?
Yeah, what is this chassis? Wait, hold up. Where is that in the product lineup?
On the website, you can look at an LMR19, which is a complete build, or you can look at the APAC chassis.
I see APAC manual chassis.
Yep.
I see.
Yeah. So it's a Remington 700 footprint.
Dude, I love that.
I got some Howas sitting around in my shop.
I've got some How do you? All right, Mr. Competition Guy. Is that what? Do you run that for your PRS?
This is my trainer. So it's my 22 for my trainer. This is my PRS rifle.
Is it the same chassis?
Yeah.
Show and tell time. Let's go. Drag them out.
So this is a JP Ilmar 19 chambered in a 6 Creedmoor. So it's got this comp here. This is a prototype comp.
I like that gun you've got on your comp.
Oh yeah, this comp I'm not going to talk about.
No, it's safe to talk about. We came out with a 223 version of it earlier this year. So we had a signature series, and then we came out with the Mark V part of it. It's amazing. I've been playing around with this one. This one was chambered for 30 cal, but it's been working great on the 6 Creed. But so yeah, this is my 6 Creedmoor 4 competition. Arca rail. It's got the weights all the way down. You can see I do have the rail that runs all the way down it. It's a deadline action. And then I believe this is the MDT grip. I just like it because it has a thumb safe on it.
Yes.
Or thumb shelf, I should say. The stock is completely adjustable. So I can adjust everything in there. Yeah, it's a mag. It's fine. And then it does have has a bubble level built in right here.
So
see all of that
so
good stuff.
so I
My
know
lighting in here is horrible,
so I
but
know
yeah,
I know you work for this company, so you're gonna lie if it's not true. Um, how all right, so, with a folding stock, a lot of times people don't like the folder just because the slop that it can sometimes give you. Is that one got a pretty good crisp lockup on it?
yeah, there's no slop.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love that.
it's
Mm.
actually locked in so hard that you've got to push the button in, and then you
Good,
can rotate it. But
good.
yeah, the whole way it kind of goes together is solid. Man, my lighting is horrible in here because I lose
Oh,
daylight,
you
huh?
see it,
It's
yeah,
alright.
dude,
Yeah,
that looks
I'll
good though,
I'll
man.
brighten it in
yeah.
and zoom it up. Be fine.
So this is the actual Ilmar 19. I did change chassis on this. So I had a different colored chassis that I originally had, and then my friend was doing some Cerakote, and he wanted to test some Cerakote, so I bought this chassis and had him Cerakote it, and I threw it in here.
Dude, all
Um,
chassis. I've got so
That
many.
thing nasty.
Gonna say,
What
I've
does
got
that weigh, Dustin? You
this
know?
one weighs 19 pounds.
to
That
say,
Yeah, and
conservative.
then my wife, this is her KRS rifle here. So it's the same chassis. She's just running a Bagara action in it, and then she's been doing stuff like her and Vortex go way back, so she's got a Vortex on here. Yeah, good for her, I guess. Um, and then yeah, recoil eliminator.
I saw that,
Is
that
hers
motion.
chambered in 6?
This one's 6.5. Yeah,
Dang, dude.
but
Oh,
the cool
6
thing
going
about
in.
this, what this allows us to do is if we were to shoot a team match, we could change rifles and it wouldn't.
Yeah,
Everything's the same.
that's rad.
Yeah.
Super cool.
As
So,
I
long
have
as
to
it,
be honest in that I wasn't educated enough in JP's lineup to even know that that was a product that you offered. So I think that you did a
yeah,
good job of highlighting that in the show because I learned something. I think everybody else will learn something too. Hopefully.
yeah. There's quite a few things out there that people just aren't familiar with on JP because they know us for this thing or that, and they don't really go down the entire product line and take a deep dive into it. But yeah, the grip still takes your standard AR-15 grips go on there, and
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
dude, that thing is freaking sweet.
and just so everybody knows, I do have an AR that is not completely JP, and that's because the receiver and the handguard are not JP. Everything else, the barrel, the BCG, the gas block, everything on it's JP. I really like this handguard. I was like, I got to get this upper in this handguard.
Well, I mean, you gotta
I just
you
want
gotta
that
have a little flavor. People are gonna accuse you of being a sellout or something, but
yeah, yeah,
like, when it's good JP stuff, like, who's not gonna sell out though?
yeah,
Shoot all the
yeah.
JP stuff they'll let me shoot.
Yeah,
So I know that this episode is going to drop late October. So I know we can't talk much about certain things, but are you excited? Is there going to be anything that people might get to see this year from you guys, or are you guys just refining everything and just making everything that much better?
yeah. We're always refining. Um, so I do know our large frame comps are coming out. They'll be coming down the pipeline very, very soon. We haven't talked about it too much, but we haven't hit it either. Like it's been on my rifle, it's been in podcasts, it's been in competitions. We're not hiding it. We just haven't highlighted. So we do have that coming down the pipeline soon. We did there are some changes to our trigger that I'm very, very happy about.
Sweet.
And then really, if you're a PCC guy, specifically a JP5 guy, I'm really excited for SHOT Show.
Good.
We can leave it at that.
Yeah, good. Well, we're gonna see it. We're
Yeah.
gonna see it at range day, so I don't care. I'm gonna shoot it all at range day. I hope.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, yeah. I mean, you guys played with our new comp
Yeah,
at the yeah, yeah. Okay,
yeah. When we
I
went
forgot
there,
about that.
yeah, when we saw you there at we saw you last time, it was like, yeah, dude, we got to shoot a couple of the things over there, and they were. I mean, it's just it's great stuff. We got to shoot silent capture stuff. We got to shoot the triggers. We got to shoot. Yeah. So I mean, we're definitely fans of the product for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we appreciate the support, and hopefully it won't be like a freaking dust storm this year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it
It
was
got
all
weird.
it got weird. It started out really cold, and then it got
Yep.
really hot, and then the dust storm of the century came through, and we were like, "All right, time to exit stage left. We're out of here. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not staying around for this."
Yeah.
Uh,
There were certain guns that came back from there that they're in our safe right now as demos. I was like, that's still has Shot Show written all over it.
yeah, it
Mm.
still does. It does.
So, Dustin, we know that, of course, it's still looking towards the future, and we know in your position, you can only say so much. But as we're coming into Shot Show, as we're talking about new products and JP's continued growth, um, well, we also kind of touched on AR-15 progression of like how good can it get. So, like, are there talks? Is there development with new materials or coatings? Are we looking into suppressor lines or optics? Or are we gonna stay focused on rifles and components?
Yeah. I think the easy answer here is JP since 1992 has always stayed true to form, where we're going to take the best stuff out there and try to make it better within the AR-15 platform. We do kind of sneak off and go and play with chassis here and there,
Yeah,
just because we do play in the long range game. So without giving out too much detail, because there's still meetings and stuff going on, I think as far as JP's future goes, we're going to continue to be the same company that is going to be producing some of the best high end parts out there for reliability and accuracy for your AR-15 crowd. And if you want to do a complete build, we'll have that there for you as well. But just look for improvements consistently coming down the line.
Awesome.
honestly, I want to say that's honestly like peace of mind. As the more that we work here or work in this space, we see a lot of companies, chasing a fad or trying to keep up with the guy next door, and sometimes to their detriment. So I think that there's going to be a lot of good things continuing to come from companies who are laser focused on what they do and not quite so worried with what everybody else is doing. So again,
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you get a little bored, right? Because you're like, oh, it's just
mm,
another AR-15 part. It's not changing the game, but at the end of the day, every little piece does change the game. And I do like knowing that every year I can talk to anybody out there about an AR-15, whether they're building or they already have one, they want upgrades. I can easily point you to an entire library of parts that JP has that would upgrade your rifle.
Yeah, I would love to see. Now, I know Matt just said, I'm glad you're staying in your lane, but I would like to go the opposite. And I would love to see if everything keeps going the direction it's going, because I think the next 10 years are going to be the decade of suppressors. Starting to see some sort of integral lineup would be really cool. And I mean, and it's for anybody listening, I mean, for the most part, and I'm not speaking to JP because I don't know what goes on there, but most every single firearms manufacturer, if you're building guns and you have the proper credentials, you've most likely, even if it's a one-off, you've built a suppressor, even if it's for R&D. That kind of stuff just happens. But to see something to, tune more to the PCC, and do that kind of stuff, I think that would be kind of great. And maybe if you're gonna get into that and dip that toe in the water, maybe not to be in the suppressor market, but more an accessory or an integral part for a JP rifle. It like that stuff would be cool. But I guess I'll give you my last question, and it's not a hard one, but it can be as hard as you want to make it. In one sentence, what makes JP unmistakably JP?
I think it just goes back to from the beginning of this conversation when I just said that um, we look at just the things that nobody thinks about, right? The things that you just pick up a rifle, you rack it, you feel certain things in it, and you shoot it, and you can tell the difference between that rifle and another rifle. It's always going to come down to the quality control and the spec that JP has maintained since 1992. There's no mistake about it. If you are blindfolded and you go through and you pick up rifles and you've handled a lot of ARs, you pick up a JP and you rack it, you will know without a doubt that it's a JP. If you pick up a JP and you can't rack it, but you pick it up from the handguard, whether it's our Ilmlock handguard or our rapid configuration style handguard, you will automatically know it's a JP. There's just certain things about JP that nobody else out there has been able to match, from either the feel and the texture of the handguard and the way they are, or to just how smooth that they rack. And that's not trying to take any credit away from anybody's ARs, because there's a lot of really, really good AR manufacturers out there. But JP's been doing this since 1992. We've got a lot of stuff in our bag of goodies that we've been messing around with for years, that at any given moment, Matt Gangel could be like, I'm going to go down this road now because I have some spare time on my hand and I want to. And as long as we're keeping QC and the JP spec where it is, we'll always be JP.
Dude, I can't. That's what I'm taking away from this conversation, is what you said at the very beginning. And it's, when you, like you said, when you rack a JP back and you feel, actually you don't feel. And that's the interesting thing. You don't feel. And it's like, never felt that before. And then you realize, like, oh, I could get used to this. So yeah, hats off to you guys and everything you do. Matt,
I think it's that time. I don't know if we got Dustin the first time that he was on the show.
But if we did do this, it's gonna change. His taste is gonna change, so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter, because I know how he rolls. So it's
Yeah, he's a gun guy. It'll be different next week, honestly. But it's that time. Dustin, at the end of every show, we like to ask our guests, JP aside, just Dustin Sanchez, we want to know top 5 guns. It's not the zombie apocalypse or World War III, but you do have to cover all the types of shooting that you like to do for the rest of your life. No, NFA doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a gun you own. It could be a freaking cannon or a aircraft carrier if you want. But what 5 guns are you taking with you, Dustin?
We're talking about like brands, or just
you don't
whatever?
have to, you don't have to name a
You don't
brand.
have to name a brand.
Yeah,
You can name a
I got
layout
you.
you want. You can name a brand. If you're like, hey, I think the Beretta 92 is the most iconic handgun. I want one of those. Like, you can name it.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. I'm definitely gonna do man. Okay, so let's just go with this week. Love my 300 PRC.
Oh,
I've been shooting the 300 PRC a lot. Love it.
heck yeah.
I'm gonna do a JP5 for sure. Just because it takes Glock mags, 9mm. I can find both of those everywhere, which then is gonna lead me into, I'm gonna just take a Glock. Let's just go with a Glock 17, Glock 19, whichever one of those is available. I can run that mag and both my AR in that, and it's a Glock. Not gonna go down.
Solid choice.
Not sexy, but it's gonna run.
Yeah, that's really all I want. Man, I want a 240 right now, so let's go with a 240.
Yeah.
I just, for some reason, I've really wanted a 240 here lately. And then, you know what? At the end of the day, it's sitting in my safe for a very specific reason. Whether it's to flex on some people or not, but it's gonna be the Barrett 50 behind me.
I love it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
love it. Man, those are pretty easy, man. Those were
Solid.
pretty easy. So before we close out, tell everybody where they can find you. Tell everybody where they can find JP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So JP, let's start there. It's jprifles.com. You can look up JP Enterprises, either one, it's going to pop up. Social media is at JP Rifles. Our YouTube got shut down right now for firearm modification because we were talking about our own trigger that comes in our own rifle. But we are on YouTube, but we just can't post anything for 2 weeks. And then for myself, it's at 2A Dustin, or at 2A _Dustin. And then, yeah, that's kind of it. I have a YouTube channel. I've been so busy with JP and Real Avid. I just haven't had time to post anything to my stuff, but I do have something out there. But really, if you want to see what I'm doing, it's just going to be at 2A _Dustin.
Awesome. Well, Matt, go ahead, brother. Close us out of this one.
All right, everybody. We want to thank all of y'all for listening this far. We also want to thank our guest, Dustin Sanchez from JP Dustin, thanks again for joining us. If you guys have listened this long, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. If you have questions about competition, almost any discipline, if you got questions about JP stuff, make sure to leave a comment down below. We will make sure to get it over to Dustin and get that answered for you. And thanks all for joining Whiskey and Windage.
Thanks for having me, guys.